The regular season is in the books, and have the Rams answered one of their most pressing questions coming into the regular season?
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Travis Rogers. Thanks for checking us out and making us a part of what you do here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Not only do I host your Rams podcast, your daily Rams podcast, but I also host the Rams pre, half, and post-game show on their flagship station, ESPN 710. First game right around the corner. We are just about a week and a half away from the opening of the 2022 NFL season. We will have that for you on 710, so make sure that you check that out. And, of course, we'll have everything for you right here, getting you ready for it on Locked On Rams. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, @Travis Rogers. Also, click that subscribe button in your podcast feed and check us out, Locked On Rams, on YouTube as well. And today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by BriteCo Jewelry and Watch Insurance. BriteCo brings you comprehensive, fast, and affordable jewelry insurance for as low as $5 per month. Check out your special offer for Locked On listeners and get covered in under 2 minutes at brite.co/locked on. That's brite.co/locked on. Okay, here's what we're going to get into today on the pod. We're going to talk about the Aaron Donald situation that finally feels like it's done. It went about how we thought it was going to go, but Sean McVay clearly is done talking about it. We'll talk about that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Bryce Perkins needs to make this team. I think that he will. We'll explain why it's so important that he remain a member of the Rams 53-man roster, that it's just around the corner. But let's start right here. What was one of the biggest concerns for this team coming into the regular season? What was something that I think if you talk to people internally, if you talk to fans, if you talk to beat reporters, if you talk to anybody that followed this team coming into the 2022 season, at the top of the list of things that they needed to address, secondary play, right? Don't take my word for it. Look at what the Rams did in the draft. They had 8 draft picks. 4 of them were spent on the secondary. They had an opportunity. They went out and got Troy Hill, one of their former players, to come back in and fill a starting role. So this is something that they knew they had to address. It's kind of an interesting situation, right? Because you have Jalen Ramsey, who, if he's not the best at his position, and he probably is, then he's certainly very near the top of his position. So you figure you got one side of this locked down. It was the other side that was a big question. Now, let me say this to start. I understand that playing against preseason caliber competition is not the same thing that you're going to see on opening night against the Buffalo Bills. I understand that going up against Davis Mills in a, quote, starting situation is not the same thing as Josh Allen, and it's not going to be the same thing as Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or any number of these other great quarterbacks that they're going to see during the regular season. I'm fully aware of that. I'm fully aware that none of these games were schemed to try to take advantage of some of their inexperience in the NFL. I get all of that, and there will be some learning curve. There will be some bumps. There will be some blown assignments. There will be some bad plays in this part of the field because they're inexperienced. That being said, I feel like they're pretty close to being where they want to be. This is a situation where you've got Ramsey on one side. You're going to have Jordan Fuller in the middle. You're going to have Taylor Rapp in the middle. You're going to have, David Long, Nick Scott. These are guys that are probably very likely to make the team. Troy Hill on the other side. But watching Kobe Durant and watching Darian Kendrick play in the preseason, watching what these guys are capable of doing fills me with a great deal of optimism. Because these guys, look, Durant made a couple of bad plays against the Bengals, and I get it. He missed a guy. He missed a tackle in the open field. These are things that need to be fixed along the way. I'm fully aware of some of the things that went wrong. But there were also a lot of really good plays. There were also some really impressive moments. Darian Kendrick's hit in the game on Saturday night against the Bengals was the real deal. His level of comfort in big moments, if there are such a thing in the preseason, is a big deal. This is somebody that played at Clemson. This is somebody that was on that national championship team at Georgia, has played in front of 50, 60, 80,000 people over and over again in big environments where the whole world is watching. He's fine. He'll make a mistake. He might turn the wrong way occasionally, but this is a man who's ready to go. Think about Jordan Fuller. Think about what he was, a late round draft pick, but where did he come from? He came from Ohio State. He played in big games. He played in a big time program. He was able to hold his own against very, very good college competition. And now he's a starter for the Rams, despite being a late round draft pick. That's sort of the role that I envision Darian Kendrick kind of falling into. Different position, obviously, but somebody that can step in a very short period of time. We've seen Robert Rochelle play at a high level. They have options at that third corner spot. They have options in the secondary that I don't know if they were certain they were going to have when the season started. This is very good news. Like I said, there are going to be some bumps in the road. They're going to be, wait, why is he doing that? And there's going to be some of those moments where one guy's going to look at another guy like, I thought you had him. No, I thought you had him, right? It's going to happen. That being said, do you have faith in the Rams to coach these guys up? Absolutely. Do you believe that they will be better in week 4 than in week 1? That they'll be better in week 8 than in week 4? And in week 16, they'll be better than in week 8? Of course. Right? This is what the Rams, I think, are so good at. Their guys get better through the, and by the way, if they don't, down the road, they'll go find someone else who can do it. That's how good of a team this is. That's how dangerous of a team this is. And that's how good of a coaching staff this is. They're not playing around. They don't have time to develop in real time. If you're not developing, then they're going to just kind of say, okay, we're going to go find somebody who can do this right now. We'll deal with you later, but they're going to figure it out on the fly. And I think that they've got some very, very good players at that position. Something that maybe wasn't going to jump off the page at you, and maybe it's not the strength of this team, but keep in mind, you got Aaron Donald up front. You got Bobby Wagner in the middle. You got Jalen Ramsey on one side. You've got other very accomplished defensive players like Greg Gaines, like Leonard Floyd, like Ernest Jones. These are good NFL football players. You got a couple of guys that are a little green, that are a little inexperienced, but they can cover some of those with some of the other players and experience that they have. I'm very, very bullish on this Rams defense as we get closer and closer to the start of the regular season. All right, so Bryce Perkins played the entire preseason, basically -1/2. Did he lock in his spot on the team? I think so, and I'll tell you why that's so important. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. All right, first let's talk a little bit about BriteCo. The first thing you need to do is you got to go watch some of these videos because they're unbelievable. Just for no other reason than you will laugh. It's brite.co/locked on. Brite.co/locked on. And what they are videos of guys making proposals and having them go all wrong in that moment, right? Where you lose the ring or you drop it or it falls into the river or you're in the woods and it's gone, right? You've spent all this money and now the next thing you know, it is absolutely gone. Now what do you do? Well, if you went to BriteCo Jewelry Insurance, you're covered. It is the fastest and easiest and cheapest way to cover your butt with the best jewelry insurance in the business. The guys that run this thing, BriteCo, are absolute geniuses. They made buying insurance for your engagement ring, your watch, or whatever. It's so easy that you can get covered in 2 minutes on your cell phone. And then you're not the guy who went viral on the internet because you dropped the ring. Brite.co/locked on. Let me give it to you again. Brite.co/locked on. I know that insurance is one of the, but when you're talking about expensive things, you're talking about things you're going to want to protect. This is how you got to do it. And go see those videos. Brite.co/locked on. They're awesome. You get a chance to use Turo yet? It's unbelievable, right? Basically, it is a host decides that they'll make their car available. You browse, you search whatever kind of car you're using. For instance, we used Turo. We went on a recent vacation up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and we had a big group of people. We had 7 people, and we needed a giant car. We needed a big SUV. We used Turo, and it was awesome. We got this unbelievable Chevy Suburban. It was exactly what we needed. Maybe you don't need something like that. Maybe you just need to get to A to B, something a little more economical. Turo has you covered on that as well, right? The hosts get together with the users get together with the hosts, whether you're here in the US, Canada, UK, wherever it is. You got to go check out that Turo app because they're going to get you exactly the right vehicle that you're looking for at a great price, and it couldn't be easier to use. Go check out that Turo app right now, Turo. Ditch those boring rental cars and find your drive at Turo.com. Thanks again for making Locked On Rams your first listen every day. Make sure you check out the Ultimate Pro Football Preview starting August 31st, an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. Local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network and Odyssey NFL Insiders all combining into one Ultimate NFL Preview. Starting August 31st, search for your Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. The Rams obviously use the preseason in a very specific way for what they do. They do not use it to get their starters ready. They use it very sparingly for their draft picks to just see exactly where they are. But the Rams don't use a lot of guys in the preseason that you would expect to have a ton of impact during the regular season, at least not at the beginning. You know, we've seen it before that as you get deeper into the season, some of the guys that maybe, I remember that guy from the preseason are playing a more significant role. That's kind of what it is. It's to develop depth. It's develop optionality, and that's what they do, which brings us to Bryce Perkins. Bryce Perkins more or less played the entire preseason, right? Played the whole first game, played the whole third game, played half of the second game. John Wolford had a 1/2 appearance against the Texans that did not go particularly well. And I'm not even putting that on John Wolford. That's more on who he was playing with, backups for the most part, and who they were playing against, starters for the most part. Granted, Houston Texans starters, but NFL starters nonetheless. And it didn't look very good. Let's go to what Bryce Perkins has been able to do. And this is the number that I think is extraordinary for me. This is somebody that's trying to make the team. This is somebody that maybe if they're not going to make the Rams team, they're trying to make one of the other 31 NFL rosters. How do you think that you go about finding your spot on one of those other 31 NFL rosters or the Rams specifically? Make plays, right? Make things happen. Make people go, whoa, wow, that was great. And he did that, and we're going to circle back to that in 1 second. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't turn the ball over. He didn't throw an interception. He didn't put the ball on the ground. He was incredibly efficient at what he did. And this is a guy playing with backup linemen, backup receivers, backup running backs, skill position guys that are unlikely to be regular contributors to the Rams. And he didn't miss a beat. And think about what you're going to ask your quarterback, your backup quarterback, to do in the event that they have to come into the game. Don't screw it up. Right? Do what we're asking you to do. Don't try to do too much. Keep this thing on schedule. And if you have to, maybe make something happen. That's option number 48 out of 48 things. Don't screw it up or the first 47, right? And he did that. And he absolutely was in control of the offense. He never looks sped up. He never looks panicked. He never looks like he doesn't know what he's looking at, right? That's incredibly important. Sean McVay doesn't want the ball on the ground. He doesn't want the ball thrown to the wrong team. What NFL coach does. And if I can get that out of my third guy, potentially my second guy, we'll get to that in a second, but that is an unbelievable advantage. And going back to what we said a second ago, he can make stuff happen. Did you see the touchdown? That was a broken play. He's back in the pocket. He's looking for a guy. There's nothing there. He rolls to his left. He buys a little time. He rolls to his left. He buys a little time. And the next thing you know, there's nothing there. I'm going to tuck it. I'm going to go. He puts a move on a guy. He gets into that corner of the end zone. It was a great play. I don't care if it's a starter, a backup, a third stringer, a 40th stringer. It was a great play. So you're telling me you got a guy that doesn't turn it over, that can make stuff happen with his legs, that can make stuff happen off schedule. That's a guy that you're not going to keep on your team. I just don't see it. He's going to make that team again. And he's going to make the 53-man roster because if he doesn't, somebody's going to snatch him up. I think what gets particularly interesting is, especially in light of John Wolford's thumb injury, he smacked it on a helmet, right? And he's going to lose the nail on his right hand, his thumb, which makes it, as you can imagine, probably pretty darn difficult to grip a football. Bryce Perkins could start the number 2 or could start the season as QB2 when they go out there against the Bills coming up here in a couple of Thursday. That's not out of the question. And by the way, I feel okay about it. Look, he's far less expensive than John Wolford. He doesn't turn it over. He can make some stuff happen. I guess the question that Sean McVay has as far as who's 2 and who's 3 is, do I want somebody who can kind of do what Matthew Stafford does? Matthew Stafford, extremely light, stay in the pocket for the most part, make the throws, run the offense, do the administrative things that need to be done, and just, the special stuff be done at a significantly lower level? Or do I want somebody that might be able to just kind of break the mold? Do I want somebody that is not going to throw interceptions? He'll do what I need him to do. But when something shakes loose, I got a guy that can make somebody miss. I got a guy that can put a move on somebody. I got a guy that can get that extra first down, that can buy that extra second so that guy can get open. Kind of interesting. You saw what the offense looked like when we went from Jared Goff to Matthew Stafford, and just a little bit of athleticism was added to that. And now all of a sudden, you've got some real athleticism at that position where all of a sudden McVay's offense just looks a little bit different. McVay knows that Matthew Stafford has to be the guy. Obviously, we all do, right? He's got to be the guy that's out there 15, 16, 17 games this season. He's the guy. We won him the Super Bowl, right? But if I got to get through a half, if I got to get through a game, maybe a couple, do I want that extra wrinkle? And even if I don't know if I want it for sure, it'd be nice to have that option to get ready to do it. I think Bryce Perkins is a lock to make this team. I think he cemented it on Saturday in Cincinnati. Okay, we have handled it internally was the refrain of the day on Saturday. I don't think you're going to hear it anymore because I don't think Sean McVay wants to talk about it anymore. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. Welcome to PrizePicks, right? It is an ultimate daily fantasy site, and here's the very best part about it, right? You're not going up against a million different people. You're not going up against these guys that are incredibly sharp, and you're going up against these guys and you're competing against dozens and dozens of other people. It's very easy to play, right? You look at their picks, the prize picks, and you decide, you know what? I can do a little bit better than that. I can find some guys. I can pick 2 to 5 players, and they're going to score more or less than their prize pick projections. You can win 10 times your money on any entry, right? You're not competing against other people. It's just you against the projections available. I think Mahomes is going over 325. Pick that. I think he's going under 325. I'll pick that. They've got you covered on the NFL, NBA, MLB. Everything that you want to do is at PrizePicks, and it's currently operational in over 30 states and in Canada. And of course, it's always easy and safe to withdraw your money, and very, very fast. Download the PrizePick apps. Go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. And first-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, they're going to give you $50. Don't forget to enter the promo code Locked On and sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Yeah, we've handled that internally. How many times did you hear that during leading up to the Saturday game, during the Saturday game, immediately after the Saturday game against the Bengals? Of course, we're talking about Sean McVay, the head coach of the Rams. Let me tell you again, thank you very much for making Locked On Rams part of what you do. Click that subscribe button. Make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. Going into the game, Aaron Donald, the on loop, right? Swinging the helmet, the picture of him having 2 helmets in his hands. He was angry. He was elevated, as they say. And are they going to suspend him? Is he going to get suspended? Is the league going to drop in? Is the league going to force the Rams to suspend him, et cetera, et cetera? And it was an interesting conversation for a couple of days, but it went exactly how you thought it was, which is Aaron Donald's going to play against the Buffalo Bills on September 8th. Aaron Donald is not going to be suspended by the team. Aaron Donald is not going to be suspended by the NFL. And during the broadcast, Andrew Siciliano, Mina Kimes, and Andrew Whitworth are calling the action. And they asked Sean McVay about it. Well, we've handled that internally. And he just quick, boom, like, guys, nope, not going there. We're not talking about it. Just we've handled it internally. We've handled it internally. Yeah, I'm sure you have. Right after the game, I thought it was hilarious where, these press conferences are a little different than they used to be. They don't necessarily wait for questions right out of the chute. It's more of a little, here's my 2 or 3 minutes on what we saw. And Sean McVay started with, guys, I know you're going to ask me about Aaron Donald. I understand that you have to. Let me just say that we've handled it internally. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We've dealt with this as a team, and we've handled it internally, and we're going to move on. Okay, what do you guys got? What about Aaron Donald in this? It was fantastic because everybody had to play the game, right? And handled it internally. I don't know what that means, except for I have a pretty good sense. I know exactly what that means. I don't know exactly what handled internally means, but I have a feeling it's something like this. Hey, AD, hop in, come in here real quick. Sit down, have a seat. Hey, listen, we got pretty lucky that that was at practice, that the video wasn't great, that Zach Taylor's the head coach of the other team, that nobody got hurt, that everybody involved, including the NFL, including the Bengals, including us, kind of want this thing to go away. Can we not do that again? Yeah, sorry about that, Sean. My bad. Okay, get out of here. That's probably what it was, right? Because the little lane that those things happened in was so fortunate for him, was so lucky. All the things that I just mentioned. If somebody gets hurt, it would be really hard for the league not to either twist the Rams' arms to do something or just do it themselves. If the video were really clear and you saw him swing a helmet that landed on top of somebody's head, it'd be really hard to not do something. If you saw Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Bengals, I'm going to say somebody has to do something. That is a reckless, dangerous, violent act. Our league does not. The league might be forced to do something. None of those things happened, and that it happened in a practice. If that happens in a game, here's the scariest part of all. If that happened during a regular season game, Aaron Donald suspended for at least 6 games. At least. That probably sinks the Rams season. It probably does. It puts an unbelievable amount of pressure on the remaining 11 games. Because if you don't have the best player in the league for a third of the season, basically, good luck. It was incredibly fortunate. I'm glad that they are handling it internally, and I'm glad that it's not going to happen during the regular season because Aaron Donald is too smart of a football player for that. Okay, it's going to do it for this issue of Locked On Rams. Of course, we are getting closer and closer to the start of the regular season. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Now make your second listen, Locked On Fantasy Football. Find the intellectual fantasy expert, Vinny Eiler, bringing 20 years of NFL experience and expertise and a unique angle to give you the moves no one else has. Get ready for your fantasy draft with Locked On Fantasy Football. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.